Hello and welcome to Suba Surfcaster's YouTube channel. Today we're going to do a video some of you have been asking for about our rig and setup we use to catch the sharks and redfish that we do in the surf. So in front of me here we have a few things that we carry. One is just your basic nylon rope. We make a loop in the end. This is for tail roping the sharks and pulling them up out of the water and to help release also. The next thing we have is a pair of bolt cutters. These are 18-inch bolt cutters, and you can use a smaller pair. We actually had a smaller pair, but the head of those were starting to rust out, so I ordered these. Went up one size to the 18-inch, and this has a coating on the head which is supposed to resist some of that rusting. The next thing we have are our surf spikes. This is a 1.5-inch PVC pipe. You just get it from your local store. Cut the end on an angle to allow you to pound it into the sand. I like the PVC a little better than the ones you can pre-buy because they're thin, pretty thin. We've had these for 6, 7, 8 years probably, and this is one of the original ones we've used that long. No problem with the end breaking or anything like that. You measure down with your rod butt, drill a hole through the center, put a bolt in there, so you have it to where your rod butt sits on the bolt and holds your reel up so your reel seat doesn't touch this. And then we have this is a 16-ounce rubber mallet. That's to hammer your surf spike in with. We keep several of these just in case you get one that breaks. Also have a tape measure. This is what we use to measure the sharks, redfish with, just your basic hardware store tape measure. Also carry a pair of pliers. Of course, bait knife, cut your bait up with. We catch all of our bait, fresh bait, mullet, and cut it all fresh to use for the shark fishing. I also like to carry a hook file, very handy to have, and a pair of scissors. This is the crimp tool that we'll be using later, showing you how to crimp up the leader and such. Now we can go on to the surf rods. We use a couple of ugly stick 12-foot heavy action surf rod. Also use a Shimano brand surf rod also. Just whatever you prefer. We've had this Shimano for quite a long time. It's a little stiffer than the ugly stick, so it allows you to cast a little further. But the ugly stick is a little nicer for fighting the redfish on, because it does have a little more give in the tip of the rod. We also use the Penn Spinfisher 5 8500 live liner. We used to use the original Penn Spinfisher, did not have the live liner. They came out with this model several years ago, and it has the live liner drag, which you engage here. That, and then you can adjust it on the back side, which that allows a free spool almost type of deal when the fish bites. So when the fish is running, you have time to get to the rod, and then you wind the handle, which engage your main drag. Now the other system we had did not have the live liner on it, so we chased a few rods across the sand before, because you have your main drag engaged. If you don't get to it fast enough, a big shark, it's a lot of pressure, pull your sand spike out, and you're chasing your rod across the sand. We've done that several times, and it's not too fun. But a lot of people probably are saying, well, you don't really need the live liner, you can just loosen your main drag the same way. But I don't like to mess with the main drag, especially when you're fighting a big fish, because there's a lot of adrenaline, you know, running through your veins, and you're trying to adjust this back, and if you get it too tight, you know, the fish could just pop off. So to me, and how we use it, the live liner is a lot better setup for that. And then we can go start over here. We have our main line that we use. It's a 65-pound Power Pro. I buy this, we have 3 of the spin fishers, so I buy this in a 1,500-yard spool. It's cheaper, but I like to keep a spool or 2 of the small spool with me in case you do have a break off and you need to add line back to your reel. We also use this 100-pound Power Pro. This we kind of use as a shock leader. I put about 20 feet or so of it on there. I attach it with a uni to uni knot, which has never failed to the main line. It's one of the, you know, the line will break before that knot gives. You guys can look that knot up if you'd like. And then we have, this is our wire leader. It's a coated wire leader. It's a American fishing wire. It's a 135-pound test. On the spool here, and whenever you order it, it tells you what sleeve you need for the crimps. This one will take a single sleeve, which is a number 5, or a double barrel sleeve, which is number 7. The double barrel sleeve is the one that we use, which is here. They're kind of small. And then we use a Spro Swivel, 230-pound capacity. And then we use a Sea Striker braid friendly sinker slide. When we first started surf fishing, they didn't make this braid friendly sinker slide, and the plastic was a little softer, and after a while the braid would actually wear through the plastic and start to stick. So these do not do that. So this is a lot better sinker slide they came out with. And then this is the hook we use. This is a Mustad 15-aught circle hook. And you can buy these. All this stuff I'll put at the end where you can order it from. These hooks are, you get them 25 for $18.99, which is pretty cheap. That's why we cut the hooks instead of trying to get them out. When we first started, we used a big pair of channel locks and tried to remove the hooks. But with a circle hook, especially in the shark's mouth, it was taking too long, especially if you're fishing in the heat of the summer. And it was doing a lot of damage to the shark's mouth. So we decided to just go ahead and start cutting them. So we cut them. You get both pieces back. You know, it doesn't take but 30 seconds to cut it. It's a lot shorter of a time to have the shark out of the water. So it works really well. And then now for the type of sinker we use. We use a 6 and 5 ounce frog tongue weight. We get those locally at the tackle shop. We use those because their ability to hold well in rougher surf. So when they lay down, this lip digs into the sand and holds really well. If you can't find these, you can find them online. I'll have a list of some things that we went over today, places you can get them at the end of the video. But if you can't find those or can't get them, or if you fish somewhere that's not a real high current area, you can use a regular pyramid weight. They might hold for you. If not, you can always switch to the frog tongue. So the next thing I like to do first, you have to do first, is you have to put your sinker slide on your line. And then I like to tie the swivel to the main line first, because if you put your leader and stuff and then tie this on, you end up having to pull all your whole rig through your knot that you tie. which I tie a polymer knot, which what you do is you simply fold over your line. You put the folded part through the eye of your swivel, hook, whatever else you're using in any situation. You loop it over, you just make an overhand knot. You have your loop end. You pass your hook, swivel, or rig or whatever going through there. And what you'll do is if you have something bigger than this, you can make your loop a lot bigger so you can pass it through. Then you want to wet this knot just with a little saliva and pull this tight. And that's your polymer knot. That knot, in my opinion, is one of the best knots you can use for braided line. That knot will not break. This line will break before that knot will fail if tied correctly. Then we'll trim our tag end off. And then we can go to our coated leader. And you got, what I like to do is put 2 crimp sleeves on each side. 2 on the swivel side, and then we'll put 2 on the hook side. That is just an extra little bit I do, just so if one of the swivel or one of the crimps fail, you still have 2 on there. So to attach the swivel to the wire leader, you're going to put your 2 crimps on first through one side of the double barrel, and then you're going to get your swivel, insert that end, and then make a loop or fold it over and run the tag end through the other side of your barrel swivel, and then you pull that down until you get a little bit of a loop like that. You don't want to get too tight so you have some room for your swivel to move. And then you do the same with your other crimp sleeve. About like that. I usually do this one a little closer to the edge. So then once you get your crimp tool, which on this tool there are 4 different size crimps you can use. For this particular tool, the crimp is the second one down size. And what I like to do is do the center of the crimp first. I don't know if you can see that. And make sure that it is straight up and down in the crimper. You don't want to get a side crimp. And then you do the center and just squeeze it down real tight. And then after you do the center, I like to do the ends next. Same thing, line it up straight, squeeze each end. And then we're going to do the same thing to our other sleeve. And just going to repeat the process. Center, edge, and edge. And that's that side. And then you're going to do repeat the same process for the hook side. 2 sleeves on, then your hook, then you bend over, both sleeves through, pull one down. Same thing here. You want this, you don't want your hook to be real tight, so that thing could, you know, set. Circle hook needs to move a little more, so when it's pulling out of the shark's mouth, it catches real good in the corner. And the same thing as on the swivel side. Center first, edge, edge. And then we'll go with our other sleeve. Same thing. Center, edge, and edge. Now the next step I do is with electrical tape. Like I said earlier, you can buy sleeves for this, but it's, you know, you can always use electrical tape or something on the beach or wherever you are fixing something, so it's always good to have a roll with you. So what I do is I just start the tape covering the first sleeve, and then you're going to wrap this on an angle as it goes up to the top of the leader, and then just trim that off. Just like that. And all that does is keep the tag end of the wire that's sticking out in your crimps. It just keeps your line from snagging on that, or your main line. If you're in the current, sometimes you cast out, and if you're in a high current with a big bait, your main line sometimes will catch this tag end and wrap your whole rig up. So we'll do the same thing to the swivel side. And once you get to make doing this a few times, it's you can get them done pretty quick. It's a pretty easy rig. I mean, it's by far not the only rig out there, but it's the one that we've used for 8 or 9 years and has worked great for us. And it allows you, using hook this size, it allows you to catch big fish and the smaller fish also. I mean, you're not going to catch any whiting or anything like that, but as far as redfish, we've caught bluefish on this same rig. Also have caught stingrays and sharks. But if you use a really huge shark hook, it limits to what you're able to catch. You're basically only going to be able to catch sharks if you use a giant hook for sharks. So this rig allows you to catch several species of fish while you're out there. And then the last thing you'll do is attach your slide sinker, and then attach your bait, and you're ready to go. And there is the surf rig that we use. The last thing I had to show you was this. You may have noticed it earlier. This is a Breakaway casting cannon. It actually takes the place of your finger on the line, because you're casting that much weight. You have 6 ounces of lead plus whatever your bait is. That blade will cut your finger pretty quick. So this is actually takes the place of your finger. You lift up on that, you loop it around, and then you hold this with your finger and you release the bail, and it holds it. So when you cast, you just release this like you would your finger from the line, and it releases out. So you push it up, loop it around, and it holds like that, just like your finger would. And when you cast, you release that and the line comes out. And you just attach that to your rod with some zip ties right above where your bail is, where your line would be, where your finger would normally be. But I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching Super Surfcasters.